Few people have had as much influence on the way we drink wine around here as Brent Hayman has. From career beginnings in the Vancouver hotel industry and further development of his appreciation for wine at the cannery, Brent joined the team at Seasons in the Park. It was during his tenure at Seasons that Brent became aware of the potential of British Columbia wine. He was among the first to include BC wines alongside international offerings on his list. For the last 11 years, Brent has been general manager and sommelier at Vancouver's Rain City Grill, where he continues to pioneer the efforts of British Columbia's wine industry. And local wines account for more than 85% of his sales. In 2002, the BC Restaurant and Food Services Association and the Vancouver Wine Academy recognized Brent as British Columbia's top sommelier. In 2004, he was named BC Sommelier of the Year by Vancouver Magazine. Vancouver Playhouse Wine Festival has recognized him for Best Wine by the Glass, Best VQA Selection, Best Small Restaurant, and Best American List. In addition, Rain City Grill has captured Wine Spectator's Best of Award of Excellence for the last 9 years. For all his good works with wine, we welcome front-of-the-house man Brent Hayman to the BC Restaurant Hall of Fame.
And welcoming Brent Hayman for the front of house is Harry McWaters.
Well, Brent, first of all, it's a great honor to be here to ask you some questions. I hope that by the time we're finished that you'll appreciate it as much as I have. I know that you've got family here that are very proud of your accomplishments, and I had the great pleasure of knowing your father. Actually, before I knew you, didn't know that he was actually your father, I think I said nice things about you to him. So anyways, I know that he'd be very proud of you as well. Now, I have to tell you that in doing a little research about some questions from some of your colleagues about this evening, that I had a fair number of responses and I have no intention of reading them because they all actually have a really, really common thread. And the question that comes through that I'd like to ask you is, I'm going to ask you a couple of mathematical questions, but could you count the number of times that you had a nap in your dinner before you finished?
Is this at work or?
I'm sure it was just research, but I can tell you that every one of these individuals and some in the room have recanted stories to me somewhat that, in fact, I can have experienced some of those occasions with you.
Well, as you understand, Harry, you work very hard in the restaurant industry, so it's a tendency to be tired all the time. So.
Okay, so for the first mathematical question, about a dozen years ago, with about 8 other colleagues, you came to the Okanagan Valley. I think the challenge was prove to me that VQA means something. I'm not sure what your response was by the end of the night because you were incoherent, but along with 7 of those colleagues on a cruise on a boat named Insanity, that you had a little nap, but so did everybody else except for Paul Smolin and myself. So the question mathematically was, of your group that came on board, do you have any idea how many bottles of wine you brought on?
Well, it was in the dozens.
Several dozens, by the way.
Yes.
As there was a fair number of dozens. Anyways, so that it can help your math, that there were 37 empty bottles when we docked the boat.
Does that include the beer?
That did not include the beer as chasers. That the point here is that the commonality through this is that you've got right into your love of wine on many occasions during meals and had naps in some pasta dishes, I understand. The one that I really enjoyed here was about 4 o'clock in the morning on one of those occasions, I think on one of the golf trips to Whistler, that the phone rang. And the gentleman on the other end of the phone was insisting that he was the police and that you had something you had to attend to. You shouted a number of obscenities at him and insisted that it was Randy Dufour. In fact, this came from Randy Dufour, and it clearly was not him. It really was the police.
No, that's true, yes. Somebody had broken into the restaurant, and they wanted me to come and lock it up. And as I was in Whistler, that wasn't going to happen, so...
I understand that they nominated you for an award for the greatest number of obscenities at that time of the morning for the year. anyways,
I think Art Kendall can attest to that. He's in the crowd here.
Art is in the crowd here.
Yeah.
That over the years you've had a number of restaurants that you've worked at that and been very involved in wine, along with the front of house of restaurants and judged wines, and being very much part of the wine scene and helped grow it in Vancouver. Can you tell me what the first bottle of wine was that you had?
I think
Okay.
the very first probably would have been Nierstein Fisherman with my sister at the cannery.
Yeah. Seeing as we're getting the hook, I will ask you this one last question. Of the time in the industry, what would you consider your proudest moment?
I would have to say this evening being nominated to the Restaurant Hall of Fame, and it's a great honor, and
it's an honor to have you welcome to the Hall of Fame. Welcome, Brent Hayman.
Thank you, Harry.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brent Hayman of the Rain City Grill to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Brent, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. I'd just like to say I'm deeply honored to be chosen by my peers, and I'd like to thank my family and friends and colleagues for all the support over the years. It doesn't happen on your own. It takes a lot of people, so thank you.